Welcome to the Blues Jam podcast. This is the place to hear all about the people, places and events that make up the thriving blues scene. If you are involved in the Blues Jam and you want to tell me about it, please do contact me and let me know. I'd love to promote and share about every single Blues Jam that happens. If you like what you hear during this podcast, please do tell a friend so that they can enjoy it as well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
May you please introduce yourself?
My name's Nick Scrase. I am a frontman and a guitar player for Bristol blues band, the Terraplanes.
And the organiser of the Terraplanes Blues Jam.
Indeed.
Here in Bristol.
Yes. We started the Blues Jam close to 2 years ago.
Right.
We played a gig at a fantastic location in Bristol called Sabrina 6. It's a boat on the harbour side, and as soon as we played there, we spoke to the guy running the boat and said this would be a fantastic venue for a blues jam, so could we come and try something? So Sunday afternoon, 2 till 5 p.m. It's a great time of the week for a blues jam. We do that the last Sunday of every month, so it's become very, very popular, and I'm still enjoying running it.
Okay, so we'll come back to that in a minute. Do you mind if I ask your age so we can get some context?
Yeah, I'm 45.
45, okay,
yeah.
Right, okay.
You look surprised by that.
I don't know what age you are. That's the same as me. I don't know when, you don't have to say when your birthday is. We'll deal with that later. We'll swap details later.
I'm 46 in the summer.
Oh, right, okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
So you're nearly a year older than that, actually. Okay, so when did you start with music?
It was a long time ago. I mean, the Terraplanes has been together for coming on 11 years.
Right.
I started to play guitar and get interested in bands and making music when I was 16, 17. I was always into music throughout school, mainly listening to bands like Metallica, Faith No More, Nirvana.
Right.
These were the favourite bands of mine, and then I started to listen to a lot of early indie stuff, Charlatans, Radiohead, and then Oasis and all of that sort of stuff. So I played in bands from the age of 17 onwards, and then in my 20s continued to try to write music, but I can be honest with myself, it wasn't really getting anywhere. So I took a break and then sort of fell in love back with playing guitar again when I started to get more into blues. Right. The thing about blues music is, you start to get it once you're a little bit older. The things that the songs are talking about, they start to relate a lot more to your own life. And I wanted to just improve my guitar skills. So I got into blues and started to go and play at open mics and started to build things that way. And it was to gain my own confidence back and fall back in love with playing live, because I don't think I even owned a guitar for maybe 3 years. And then eventually I fell back in love with it through playing blues and learning a whole new style of guitar play.
And when you were at school, were you like a sort of cliched muso kid in terms of, like, did you do music GCSE and music A-level, or?
No, that wasn't really a thing then. Well, it was one of those things where you look back and you think you wish you'd paid more attention, but music class was for messing about in.
Right.
And I don't really feel that music teachers back in those days really engaged with the kids anyway.
Okay.
But I remember being interested. Me and my mate, we used to take drum lessons, and then we started to listen to certain music, but I wasn't really a muso kid because there was a big rave culture. I was in school between 1989 and 1994, and that was when the rave culture really hit big, So I was kind of rebelling against that. So I guess I was sort of an indie kid before indie was a thing, It was.
And was that here in Bristol?
Yeah.
So were you also part of that sort of free party scene towards the 90s?
I could have been. I didn't tend to do it that often. I mean, I had a large group of friends that were into that sort of culture, so we would go out and, get up to trouble for sure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the music that I was passionate about.
Right.
Then I sort of listened to the Doors. The Doors were the first band that made me go, right, I want to be in a band. I want to do what they do.
And what age were you then? Was
16.
That 16? It was
15, 16. Right, someone gave me a mixtape of the best of the Doors, and that was it. That band just set off your imagination in a way that's like, this stands alone on its own, it's not like anything else.
No,
You know, and towards the end of their career, they tried to just be a blues band, and some of their songs on their last album are amazing songs, but they had a big influence on me.
Backdoor Man.
Backdoor and
like,
Changeling, and you know, their version of Crawling Kingsnake, and LA Woman. These are great songs, and this was on the back of, you know, he died at the age of 27. They had 6 albums down the road, so they were a huge influence. But then it was getting a guitar, taking lessons for a couple of years from a friend of my dad's who didn't teach me in a traditional way. I don't read music.
Right.
He would say to me, "What song do you want to learn next week?" And I would say, "I want to learn, you know, Creep by Radiohead." And he would come back the next week with the chords and the lyrics, and we would go through it that way. And I did that for quite a long time. So I ended up with quite a few songs under my belt that I could play. And then you go about the process of trying to write songs.
Right.
Now, I wasn't, you know, I don't think the maturity at the time to write great music. You know, I think, look at bands like the Arctic Monkeys. Alex Turner was 17 years old when he wrote that first album, and that's one of the best debut albums of all time. So some people have got that songwriting talent at an early age, and some it takes many years to feel that you've got something that the world wants to hear. You know.
Yeah. It's only this morning I was watching something on YouTube, like one of Prince's first appearance on television. And he was 19.
I know. Some of the early stuff you see in Prince is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he already looked like a fully formed professional artist.
Yeah.
Like he was on it.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. But you're right. There's those exceptions.
Yeah.
And then there's the maturity that comes with getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
And like you say, like a little bit more life experience that sort of teaches you about just exactly that. Just like, wow, everything isn't as I thought it was going to be when I was 17.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And then this relates quite closely to what's going on with the Terraplanes right now, is that we're going to a lot of festivals, and there's a certain age group that listens to our band, they love the band, and there's a certain age group that goes to blues festivals in general.
Right.
And they're sort of 50 plus, but they love it, they love their music, they love to go out and buy merch from bands and buy t-shirts and CDs, and you see the same people at the same festivals. And people say, you know, well, what happens when that generation don't go to gigs anymore? Well, there's 2 ways to look at that. One is, you'll still have blues fans, because these 30-somethings will now be 40-something, and they'll start to understand the blues.
And they'll come in.
But the difference is, this is the generation of people that are going to gigs now, or standing in pubs, looking at their phones, not interested in the band whatsoever. So, yes, you'll have blues fans, but will they be live music fans? I don't think so.
Right.
And we're losing crowds all the time, crowd numbers, because there's a generation of people now that they would rather check music on their phone than go and watch something live. Even if they've got live music right in front of their face, they'll ignore you, and this is a constant thing for musicians, you know. So this crowd of fans that come to these blues festivals is very special, you know, because they support the bands, you know.
I wonder about whether or not there'll be a renaissance at some point.
Right.
I've started hearing some of the young people use phrases like "get out and touch the grass." So like the first time I heard that, I was amazed. It was like my ex's daughter, who was like 17, like was having a go at her sister, going, "Get out and touch the grass." I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. What do you mean? Do you mean by that like stop being in front of a screen? She was like, yeah, of course. I was like, okay, that's brilliant. Like, if you young people are now saying stuff like that, like, stop being in front of a screen, there's a very small but real possibility we might have a sort of reaction against all this screen
Well, I
watching.
hope so. I mean,
but I also hear what you're saying, that, like, I mean, I've only played at blues jams, I haven't played a gig as such, and I can't even begin to imagine what it would be like to be up on stage and look out and just see everyone... Or see everyone behind their phone filming it instead of just just experience it.
You don't mind that so much. it goes both ways. When you're at a festival crowd, you're not going to see lots of people staring at their phones. People are there to be entertained, and they'll stay and they'll watch bands all day. And if they want to film you, that's great. It's the pub crowd that you're trying to attract.
Right.
So, talking about the blues jams, my bandmate Craig Shaw, who basically helps run the jam. It's the Terraplanes Blues Jam, but we rarely get the whole band there on the day these times. But me and Craig are there all the time, so we run the jam. And we started a duo.
Is that the harmonica player?
Well, he plays everything, doesn't he?
Right.
The one who plays everything. The drums.
Oh, matey with the neckerchief on sometimes.
Yeah, the copy accent.
Oh god, yeah, he's multi-instrumental.
He's very talented. He's talented in his own right.
Annoyingly talented as
well.
Yeah,
his own band, actually. They've played Vegas. He's just come back from Norway, and they're playing a festival in Barcelona next month. So,
right.
In his own right, when I met him, he had his own band, Craig Shaw and the Excellos.
Right.
But he was in Bristol and he wanted to get involved in something, so he's now part of this band as well. And we've started a duo, which we go out and play acoustic gigs in and around Bristol in the southwest, because we both just do music for a living. So that's what we've tried to do. So we're the ones that are playing in pubs and clubs, trying to get Joe Public to engage. So we're now trying to look at putting a little bit of a Bluesville stamp on some other genres. Maybe whether it be Bob Marley, or it might be Paul Weller, or it might be The Who. We try and do it in such a way that is unique to us, but also it's something that people can recognise and go, oh, I know that song.
Yeah,
because you've got to get them out of their head out of their phone. So giving them something that they know, but still sticking to a bit of a bluesy style to that, is the angle that we're trying to get at.
So you were talking about just to come back a little bit. You were talking about you were a teenager, you were in a band, you were playing quite a lot, you were trying to write your own stuff, and then for a little while you sort of just stepped away from it for a little bit. Was that more sort of like in your 20s?
It was, yeah. I think, it was my mid to late 20s. Probably a little bit jaded by it by then. You know, I just wasn't feeling it at the time. I was singing in a covers band, and again, you're trying to do something a little bit different. You're trying to do bands that are popular, but songs that might not be the first one people think of. But a lot of the times you're playing in places where people want to hear a certain thing, and after a few years, I just stopped for a short while. You know, I would still play at home. Maybe I had one acoustic guitar at home, you know. But yeah, I mean, I always loved music, and the songs were always coming, and they would come in different stages, and sort of towards my end of my late 20s, the songs were having a bit more of a bluesy feel to them. So,
well, I mean, I only bring that up about where you went there in your late 20s, because actually I think sometimes having a break or having some distance from something is all part of the growth and development of it. It's weirdly, as contradictory as that sounds, to step away from it can help some people to get a little bit of distance on it and go, oh, okay, actually, I think I want to go down this other route with it instead, or come at it from a different angle. Yeah. Which it sounds like was happening with you.
It was, and because I took a step away from it, and then I just wanted to just enjoy playing. So rather than having to rely on band members or organisation, you can just say, okay, what can I do on my own? I can learn songs that musicians play with no band around them, and it sounds fantastic. And I started to really get into the history of the blues. And then you would hear musicians like Skip James or Son House or Robert Johnson.
And just them, their guitar,
just them. There's nothing apart from
microphone.
And the way they would use their voice as another instrument, not just a way to put the lyrics across. So I was fascinated by that, and that's what started to then rekindle everything for me, you know. But it was slow starting, and that wasn't the intention to have a band that's lasted 11 years and go on to do what we've done. I just wanted to enjoy playing, you know.
So you've come out of this late 20s phase, you're now in your early 30s. How did the Terraplanes form?
Well, it was in 2013.
Right.
I was playing at an open mic at Mr. Wolf's in Bristol, There was other open mics at a place called the Greenhouse, and I played at one, was invited to the other, so I started to play. And what was good about it, there was a guy called Tom Mounsey, who was living in Bristol at the time, and he would run this open mic at the Greenhouse. Everybody gets 3 songs and a free drink, put your name on the list. But what he would do, between 10 and 11, he would let the 2 headlines, who he chose, whoever had been doing well, to have a half an hour slot each.
Right.
And then the open mic would carry on then till midnight. So you had a slot, but every now and again you would get yourself a half an hour.
Right.
Because when you're playing 3 songs, you can just bang, 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 and it's done.
Yeah.
But when he says, right, we want you to play half an hour, which from my live streams I know exactly how many songs that is, that's 9 songs. So you can really put together a good set of work. And that was where I started to build from. People would come and say, well, I like you. You play an American style blues, but you bring an Englishness to it.
Right.
Which was great. And then I met Eduardo because Eduardo's a Portuguese harmonica player, was living in Bristol at the time, working in the kitchens at Colston Hall. And he came to the blues jam and he saw me and he said, I love the song you were playing, the Robert Johnson song. And he had a harmonica in his pocket. And we played. The next week we arranged to played 3 songs together, and then we started to get some little half an hour slots here and there. And then of course you're trying to play, see if you can actually get paid to play then, you know.
Right,
and that was a little while.
Yeah.
Feels very similar to what me and Craig are doing with the duo at the moment. You're trying to find the right pubs that fit your music,
Right.
trying to get the right fee for, you know, what you're offering, and that was what me and Ed did at the start. We grind, you know, we were grinding away at it for about 1.5 years, trying to find some residencies and gigs, and then that's when I started to write songs and think, right, we can do a band now. We can bring in bass and drums and see if we can move forward like that. So.
And the Terraplanes is mainly original material, or do you chuck some covers in there?
We put some covers in. We put some covers in. I mean,
standards.
Yeah. It's taken all those years to get this many original tunes. So actually, we released a 5-song EP, which had 4 originals on it, and then we released a 12-song original album. Wow. So we've got about 16 original tracks, and then we throw in 6, 7, 8 of our favourite covers to do the gigs. So when we do these festivals, it's only usually an hour slot. So it's great to be able to go, these are all originals, and you just play all original music. So, but we do some nice covers, yeah.
And how would you describe those original songs? Have they got like a particular style to them?
Yeah, they're kind of a mix between, they've got a country blues feel,
right,
but they've got an intense sort of drive to them, which is very sort of reminiscent of the 60s British garage bands.
Right.
You know, bands like the Yardbirds, bands like the Pretty Things or the Stones. So we tried to mix those two, but it's a high energy. You know, I like to think that there's some good lyrical lines in amongst the songs and good grooves as well. You know,
the sort of thing that you could also get up and move to.
Absolutely, it's just what we've been told at our most recent festivals, that people were dancing along to our music more than they'd seen them recently or in the past or whatever it is. So
nice.
Sometimes music doesn't have to be too complicated if it's something that people can dance to, or can sing along with. That's good enough for us. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
I try not to overcomplicate my songwriting too much. You know?
There's something in that idea of that it's very easy. It can be very easy to overcomplicate music. Yeah. Very easy.
And with blues, you don't want to stray too far away from the themes of what blues are. You know.
Yeah. Blues
is about life. It's about love and feelings and all of that sort of stuff. So, you know, that's why I think the songs are all about, you know, the lyrics have got good themes to them and they're all set alongside a really nice groove. That's the main point for us.
And do you have so you've got one album out?
Yeah.
What are you working on another one? Or?
Yes, we are.
You are, brilliant.
We are, yeah. It's taking time. I mean,
Is this public knowledge or is this a Blues Jam podcast exclusive?
Well, half and half really.
Right.
I don't. Can you get half an exclusive? I don't think you can. Well, no, we had mentioned at the last jam that we were starting to crowdfund for the second album.
Right.
And the bottom line is, we're an independent band. We don't have any management or a label or financial backing. We have to do it all ourselves. So we're looking to launch a crowdfunder.
Right.
And we've been asking people to donate to that at the moment before we launch it. But having not done a crowdfunder before, we have to do a bit of research to see what's involved and how you can get most people to engage. So doing things like this is great. So keep an eye out on the Terraplanes Facebook page and the website for a link for the crowdfunder when we launch it.
And how do people get to that?
It's Facebook/the Terraplanes or www.theterraplanesbluesband.com is the website.
And are you also on like Instagram?
Instagram at the Terraplanes, yeah. No Twitter for us.
No, I don't blame you. No, okay. So, and for those that might be asking, including me, although I think I've got a rough idea, the crowdfunding is to raise money for things like buying a studio time and buying your time to actually get in there and do it.
I don't think we're going to have enough to pay the band to do it. What will happen is we will hopefully try to raise enough money to pay for the recording, the mixing and the mastering, and then the merchandising of the album. So it'll pay for us to... the plan is to go and stay at a studio up in Wales, the same place we recorded our album Stepping Stones.
Right.
You stay at the studio for 3 days, try and record as much of it as you can, then come back to Bristol and mix it and master it. So that's where the big costs are. And then if we want to be able to sell t-shirts and CDs, which we do, then we want to be able to produce a good amount of those. Because when you launch a crowdfunder, you have to have certain rewards involved. So if somebody donates a certain amount of money, they get a certain level of reward. So this is all the things that we need to be 100% sure about before we can launch. But if you want to support the band, please get on board and find us for all those different pages.
Brilliant. And you were saying that the jam was created, the Terraplanes Blues jam was created because you went and played a gig on that boat.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my God, this would be a great place.
Yeah, Dennis on the boat was after us for a while to come and play. And I mean, you've been there. When you see it from outside, you don't expect what you're going to find.
Yeah.
So you go down underneath and the stage is there, the tables are all set, and it was just a great location for it. And he was friendly, he was a nice guy, and he was happy to help. Now actually, we're bringing money on for his business. He's, it's the Bristol Cruising Club, so they're trying to keep afloat by donations and memberships.
Great fun.
So having a pub full of people on a Sunday afternoon for him.
Afloat.
Yeah, and listen, all you guys at the Blues Jam like a drink, so he's making a little bit of money from that.
Yeah.
The boat would be closed otherwise.
I've never seen the bar deserted.
No.
During 3 hours.
No, and it's become so popular. And the Blues Jam's great because it's almost... The more than half the people on that boat are not musicians. They're just there to watch the music. And they love the atmosphere.
I love that. Yeah. I've been really amazed by that. Like I was saying to you before we started, I'm sort of relatively new to this, only the last year or so.
Yeah.
And before I went to any of these, the picture of it in my head is very different to the reality of what I've seen.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was going to be a bunch of like just only purely musicians improvising for 3 hours.
I would hate that.
And just like, how am I going to do this? But I want to go and do it, but I'm going to be so out of my depth. And it was so nice to arrive and to go to a different one like the Terraplanes one.
Yeah.
That's the second only one I ever went to.
You do have this picture in your head though, don't you?
Yeah.
I'd never been one for going to blues jams before.
Right.
Open mic's fine, but even now there are a few other blues jams. I'm not saying I wouldn't go to them, but it's a little bit out of your comfort zone, isn't it? And if you're not experienced at being on stage or soloing when everybody turns to you and go, right, it's your turn to solo. I hate that. I'm not a solo, I was chatting to a lot about this to people recently. Soloing is out of my comfort zone. I try it, or even if you see certain small licks, I'll have practiced that at home. I won't be off the cuff. So yeah, you go to a blues jam, you're not experienced, and then they just look at you and go, right, you're trying to solo, and we're all going to just judge you on it.
Right.
I don't want to feel like that, you know, and I hope that people don't feel like that when they come to our jam. But they don't, you know, what I try to do, we had this conversation before, because you get so many guitar players, because I'm trying to organise it and I don't really do a list, I look at it and I try to put a singing guitar player with a non-singing guitar player.
Right.
That's a kind of a little system I have.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
so you get a chance to play. If you're a non-singing guitar player, it doesn't mean you want to shred for 2 minutes, but you might like a solo if you get the chance, you know.
Yeah.
But you have to try and put the guitar player, one that sings and one that doesn't. And if you can put ones together, like you and Anthony,
Yeah.
that are mates, then
And where
you're happy.
one's so good that he can make up for how crap I am, that's great.
Well, that's, yeah.
That works really well.
That's
I can just
fine.
sort of musically hide behind him
Exactly.
a little bit.
And at least that shows that I, or somebody who's running the jam, is trying to say, yeah, if you've got 2 guitar players that are a certain level, and there's a difference between them, as long as they don't mind, if it's a friendly jam, the good guitar player is not going to look at the average one and go,
Yeah.
what are you
you
doing?
doing?
And start
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
him the
yeah.
eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that just makes you feel like crap, you know?
Yeah.
So I try not to make that happen, and we've had some good combinations so far, but
And-
you always get a lot of guitar players, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
always trying to fit them all in, you know?
Million guitar players turn up to everyone I've been to. So.
And then they all get louder, Brett. This is the problem. And then
Everyone's-
you've got your sax players and you've got your harmonica players blowing their heart out, and you can't hear anything. So I'm having to come up and say, look, oh, you know, again, not just the guitar players. So you get the old drummer that doesn't have a volume switch.
Are we going to call this doing a Queen at Live Aid? They turn it up ever so slightly without anyone looking. Like, just turn it up a little bit on the amp.
Well, can you get any louder than that? Live Aid.
Well,
Well, must have gone up to 11.
You know the story about that, right? Like, because it was Queen's kit. And so it was Queen's sound engineer that was doing all the sound at Wembley.
Okay, right.
So the urban myth is that when they came on, although they had been strict, everyone had been told this is the level it's going to, their engineer went, forget this, and cranked up a tiny little bit for them. That's the myth. I don't know. But I mean, funny you mention that, because that's the first time last Friday at Wootton I heard Mark come up on stage and go, guys, we're getting too loud. We need to turn this down. Because we'd all been like turning it up a little bit as well.
Yeah, it doesn't,
So, yeah.
doesn't, you know, and then, yeah, it doesn't make it better. I mean,
No.
from my point of view, like when Eduardo comes to the jam, the Terraplanes harmonica player, he's louder than everybody.
Right.
But the other guitar players, the other harmonica players can't seem to cut through.
Right.
Now that's about how hard they play. Ed, he's a hard player. He's loud and he's great. But I'm always asking him to come down. Whereas the other two, who we love, Joel and Sarah, they're great additions to the blues jam. It's hard to get their volume to cut through. Because it's always the guitar players who've got to come down.
Yeah.
And like every musician, they'll come down for half a song, and then your back's turned and they're switching it back up. So that's the problem that you get.
That's one of the major things I've learned. Two things. One, about a sound engineer, and two, about the volume knob. So like at Wootton, we're very lucky that we have a sound engineer that sits there.
That's good.
So he can turn people up and down a little bit if they're going through the PA system.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, before I started doing blues jams or playing live anywhere, if I ever watched any live performances of anyone playing guitar, I'd always be thinking, why are you dicking around with the volume knob so much? And now I'm like, yeah, no, I totally get it. Now I totally get why
I
you're doing
find that as
all the
well.
time.
Unless you've got, I'm not one for lots of pedals, but you've got to have your pedals set so that when you need a boost, it's there.
You can hit
because
one,
sometimes you can hit that boost and it's not there, and your guitar's up to 10. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So you've got to crouch down and you've got to give yourself a bit more. Sometimes if you've got big clumpy feet, you'll hit the pedal and you turn the thing down at the same time.
Or hit the tuner and it just goes off and you're like, oh, what?
Believe me, it happens all the time. Even if you think you're a polished professional, it happens. But yeah,
So
that's the point.
What gave you the inspiration for the format? Because your format at the Terraplanes Jam, which I like and love, is like I've heard you say you kind of keep an eye on who comes in what order. You try and pull them up in that order, and you're really good about like, okay, you've got about 3 songs.
Yeah.
And then you're done.
Well, this is so if the people come through the door, I'll go straight up and say hello, and if they're a new face, exactly, I go straight up and I say, do you play? Yeah. Usually it's guitar. Okay. do you sing? Yeah, I sing. Okay. Any songs in particular you like to sing? And they'll say, oh yeah, Stormy Monday, 12 Bar, Johnny Be Good, whatever. I go, yeah, cool, get yourself a drink. Have you come with anybody? Do you know anybody?
Right.
And then it becomes a lot of guitar players. So it's the guitar players I give 3 songs each.
Right.
The drummers, there's usually 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They get 6 songs each. And then I move them off. Sax players, harmonica players, they come and go really. There's no real plan to that. It's if I know one that wants to play with certain people, I'll wait for the chance to put them up together. And then I'll try and keep slipping people in. Now sometimes I've made a few mistakes where somebody who comes and provides one of the amps on the stage played the first 3 songs and then I didn't get him up again for the rest of the day because we were so busy.
Right.
And I had to apologise, and he was okay about it, but he wanted to play a bit more.
Yeah.
So I have to be a bit mindful of it, but no, I don't want to keep a list. I don't want to be pointing people out and things like that. But yeah, I tried to keep the guitar players rotated on. Bass players, sometimes we've only got one.
Right.
So
they're up.
And no bass up.
Yeah.
So they're up all day, or I've spent a whole day virtually playing bass lines on my guitar.
Right.
Because we didn't have a bass player that day. Keyboards and bass they come and go.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a regular bass player there.
It'd be nice to have somebody on the keys actually.
I know,
occasionally.
they came in the early days.
Right.
But we haven't had any keyboard players since.
I was there once when I was a keyboard player.
That's great.
Like maybe the end of last year. Yeah.
So what I tried to do is obviously you've got drummer, bass, 2 guitars, and then I'll either a sax or a harmonica.
Yeah.
If you've got 6 or 7 people on stage, it's a bit of a mess.
I was going to say it's a lovely venue, but it's not the biggest of stages. So actually, it's
6 max.
Yeah, if you're lucky. Yeah.
It's that drums, bass, 2 guitars, harmonica. That's really what you should have. 5.
Yeah.
But there always ends up being 6. Never 3 guitar players on the stage.
God, what?
Nobody wants to hear Hotel California.
With all the harmonies. Yeah. No, we're not doing that. No.
But it's great, and takes up a bit of time, because it's. But I love it. I take my family there. I take my 2 girls. We run the raffle together.
That is a lovely touch. The raffle and your girls doing it. Yeah. How old are they?
They are 8 and 10.
Wow, and they love they're mad for it. They're up on the stage with the mic, grabbing the mic off you, like, no, Daddy, I'm doing it.
Yeah. I know. And they don't let anybody get away without buying a raffle ticket.
No, God no.
They'll wait outside the toilets for you if they haven't got you. So they help out, and that's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
That's a bit of fun, just to keep the blues jam going. We had a hi-hat clutch pedal that went missing. Not for anybody's fault, we just couldn't find it. So little things that need to be replaced. That's all that the raffle is for.
Sure.
We have an old-fashioned raffle with a bottle of booze and some chocolates.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
People put a bit of money in the bucket for it, and it keeps the jam going. And it's important, and people want to help.
Yeah.
Some people even say to me, "Oh, you're doing the raffle this week," so I don't want to let a month slip by because I get moaned at if I don't do the raffle. I don't want to get moaned at.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all. And
But the next jam's on Sunday.
I know.
When is this going to go out? It's not going to go out in...
No, it won't go out in enough time.
Okay.
Do you know when the next one is after that?
It will be...
Here we go, we're looking around.
Yeah, it's going to be the 23rd of June. Now, the 23rd of June is not the last Sunday of the month, but the Terraplanes are doing a gig in Birmingham on the last Sunday, the 30th.
Right.
So that's how I know it's the 23rd. So
right.
26th of May, 23rd of June.
Right.
And then obviously the last Sunday of every month, unless
there's
otherwise
some gig on or something you've got to do.
Otherwise it's rearranged.
And I mean, it's amazing that it's free just to go down there. Just you don't. It obviously it would be great to buy a drink but there's no entry fee.
No.
That amazes me.
Yeah. There's no fee for anybody. and we do it because we just do it. So no, we wouldn't want to charge anybody to come into that, because you don't want to feel like people. Because at the end of the day, it's also in the clean air zone.
Right.
So that's bad enough.
Is it ever? Yeah.
Luckily, I've got a ULEZ car, so we can park. And on Sundays, in certain places in Bristol, parking's free. If anyone is coming to the jam and they want to get in touch, I can let them know where the free places are. But at the end of the day, it might cost you £9 to get your car into Bristol. So no, we're not going to charge people to come. No. We want people to come, we want people to enjoy it, and for a lot of people, including the guys who run the boat, it's their favourite day of the month. Right. So people look forward to it, and well, we'll continue to do it.
And is there, not that I expect there to be, but is there any particular plans for the jam at the moment, or just keep on going?
Yeah, we'll just keep going. We feel that we've got the best jam in Bristol. We've got the best location, we've got the best time slot, and there are other great blues jams to go to. So we know we don't want to change anything at the moment.
Right. Nice.
If anything, we just want more people to come, but then again, the boat's only got a certain amount of seats, so it's pretty full most times.
I mean, I didn't know whether or not to mention, like almost being a victim of your own success, because I've been there once or twice and been like, there's a lot of people on this boat right now. Like we've surely got to be getting close to capacity right now.
Yeah, I think the capacity is about 70, and this felt like there's been more than that on the boat a couple of times, didn't there?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't mean from a safety point of view, I just mean like if this gets any more popular,
do you think as many people would come if I moved the location? Not that I'm thinking of doing that, but it's part of the charm of where it is.
Oh, without a doubt.
And when it is.
Yeah, I mean the timing of it is perfect. The Sunday, as a Sunday afternoon thing, I quite like. Yeah. Because sometimes some of these jams are in the evening and they get quite late, and you're like, oh wow, I want to be
like
there.
A Monday night jam, it's hard.
Yeah.
Whereas Sunday afternoon, people have had a drink, they've had a lovely afternoon when the sun's out, they're walking off the boat at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And they've still got the whole night to go.
Yeah.
And actually, they might be plugging the pub in Bristol called the Cat and Wheel, which is now starting to do blues bands every Sunday at 6 p.m.
Right.
So that's on Gloucester Road, which is not too far from the boat, a little drive or a bus ride. And I spoke to the lady at the Cat and Wheel about trying not to overlap it. Yeah. So that I can then, whoever's on that night when we do the last monthly jam, try and get the blues fans on to enjoy more live music.
Yeah.
So the timing of it is perfect for us. The location's great. We might have to limit the numbers. We just say to Dennis on the boat, whatever the capacity is, then
we'd have to
just to say the boat is full.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't get here early enough.
Well, there is that. But at the moment, we've been okay. There was one or two where there were people even up the stairways because it was so busy. But Dennis is on top of all of that. If it gets too much, then he would just tell me.
And there's quite a variety of people that go as well. I noticed. Like there was one week I was there recently, and there's some young. Now I'm going to begin to sound old, even though I'm not, even though we're the same age. Some younger people turned up.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't quite know whether you're here to like take the mick or what the deal is. Until one of them got up and played, and I was like, yeah, you're here to take the mick, but in a different way than what I thought. Because of how blinking good you are, you annoying little. So-and-so.
I think you're talking about Jude, the young guy who played Killing Floor of Blues. Do you remember that? He brought a whole big crowd with him.
I know this guy played Have You Ever Loved a Woman with a red Les Paul.
Wow.
And this was only 2 or 3 months ago. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I do remember the crowd. But they weren't there to take the mic. They loved it.
They were into it.
They were the ones that were halfway up the stairway because there was no room.
And they were dancing at one point, and when that man got up and played, I was like, oh. Yeah, and then he started singing, and I was like, oh Christ, okay, you're that good, right? Okay, right.
But he was a friendly lad. He didn't come in and start pushing his weight around. No. We've had some really, really top level musicians come down to the jam. Nice. But they're all nice people.
Nice.
They're not going to come down and start, for want of a better expression, acting like a dick, because they won't, nobody's going to put up with that down there. It's such a nice community feel. There are lots of different people. There's people that just want to come because they've heard of it. They know it's a nice way to spend a Sunday afternoon. Other people have come down to support their friend who's only ever been on stage a couple of times. And other people come down because they're good musicians. They want to play with other good guys. And sometimes I can put random combinations of people on the stage and they'll absolutely play a song that just has the whole crowd standing up at the end of it, and clapping the solos and stuff. It's great. It's the way it should be.
That word community keeps coming up, and I think there is something in that. Because after being there 2 or 3 times, everyone's saying hi to each other. Everyone's, oh, how are you?
Yeah.
And then, last time we were there, there was some, maybe the time before that, there was some real guitar geek talk going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, Matey Boy, the older guy, brought a guitar with, like, split pickups. And we were all like, what is that? It was amazing. And, like, you had to explain it, like, 3 times or whatever. It was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, you do get that. I'll give that a swerve.
Right. The geek talk.
Guitar talk. Yeah. Someone comes up on a gig and says, oh, I tried nickel wound strings and I wonder what your opinion was. I don't care.
Whatever. Are they in tune, yes or no?
Yeah. And they're starting to rust and I better change them there. But no, you do get that. But there's also been little band exchanges, little bands that have picked up a singer from the jam, little things that have come about, we've started a band or we're starting to do something. And that's great. You see it at the end of the jam, when everybody's packing up, you've still got a big handful of people sitting around, table to table, talking about things, talking about guitars, talking about whatever they might do. And it's nice for this sort of age group of people that come to the jam, which actually is young to old. They're all making friends with people and they see each other at gigs, or they may only ever just see each other at the jam. And they have a great day and they always come back the month after. So yeah, it's been good. I do enjoy it. It's a nice part of my life, actually. It's a nice way to finish each month,
Yeah, right, yeah. So talking of creating bands and which you've done and like you were just saying there, sometimes they're even created at these jams.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about advice that you might have, and I'm thinking about a couple of different things. I'm thinking about any advice you might have for aspiring songwriters, and any advice you have for anyone who's looking to either start a band or has just started a band, and what sort of tips and advice you might have. Let's start with songwriting first, because you said that you stepped away from that and then you came back to it and you found a new love for it and you found a new sort of new confidence in it. Do you have any
advice for songwriters? Well, it's a tough one, really, because songs don't come. Very, very rarely a song will come in 5 minutes. Right. It's a funny thing with that. Some of the best songs I've written, maybe 1 or 2 were written very quickly. A lot of them develop over time, and it depends how you put your songs together. But if you're a songwriter and you feel you've got good music, then a little recorder like we're using right now, or even a phone, is a great way to get your ideas down. Right. Now you can put those on if you have a SoundCloud page. It's a useful tool, although I used to use it a lot more than I do now. But also, BBC Introducing is somewhere to send your
right.
If you've got a decent audio, and nowadays you can record something on a phone and tidy it up, like master it yourself, just on a
on some sort of app on your phone.
Yeah, right, there's various ways to do it. I mean, I use video editing software for my music videos, but that also gives you a graphic equalizer to mix your tracks to get them sounding how you want them. But let's say you have tracks that are recorded, put it on BBC Introducing in the West, BBC Upload,
right?
And if it's good, they do play your tracks. I mean, even we had all 5 of our tracks from our first EP played, one after the other, not the same night or anything like that. You can only send in a couple at a time, and then you'll get this email which takes your breath away. It's like, your song's being played on BBC Upload tonight between 7 and 10 o'clock, and you've just got to listen out for it. And,
wow.
But at the moment, if you're going to be independent and you just want to do it yourself, you have to get good quality recordings of your songs.
Right.
If you can play more than one instrument and you can add something to it, then that's the best way to do it. Now, if you want to start a band, blues jams are a great way to do it, because or not blues jams, jams in general.
Right.
You know, if you want to start a punk band or you want to do anything at the moment, I mean, it's all it's all there for you online. That's the amount of bands I see asking for certain members online at the moment is crazy. So if you've got the drive and you want to be part of something, then there's plenty of opportunities out there. But if you're a solo songwriter, I would just say get the recordings of your songs to the best quality you can.
Right.
And submit them to BBC Introducing or any local radio, and share your stuff on Instagram, right? Film videos of yourself and put them on reels, even if it's just half a verse or the hook or the catchy lyric in the song. Promote yourself as best you can.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, it's not easy though. It's not easy.
And talking of that, you've mentioned doing like live feeds.
Yeah, but this was during lockdown. I was quite late to come into it, but I would do a live stream on a Wednesday morning for half an hour, sitting right here, get my phone set up. So this was a while after, when the Terraplanes first released music, we were stuck in lockdown and it was hard to, we had no gigs. Right. So I was trying to promote the songs. It took me a while to get on top of Bandcamp. Right. I didn't realise at first that you could just sell digital copies of your album via Bandcamp for a little while until the penny finally dropped. So I was trying to find ways to get the music out there. So I started to do a live stream when the kids went back to school. My wife was at work, and I was working. Back then I was a full-time taxi driver, but I didn't work on a Wednesday.
Right.
So I just used to do a live stream at 11 AM on a Wednesday and send it out, you know, in a small loyal following, and then you can post that live stream again later in the day. And I love that, actually. I've often thought about doing it again, but...
Right, so you're not doing it at the moment?
No. I did it for about a year, I reckon.
Right.
Every Wednesday I did it, and yeah, I enjoyed it. But that was more out of necessity, you know. There's not so much live streaming going on now, but talking about when we record and promote or crowdfund for the album, the band might do a possible little set up an acoustic little live stream and play a few new tracks from the new album.
Yeah.
And try to engage the people that way, and then get some donations towards the album. So that's an idea, because I did enjoy it. It's good.
Okay. Well, although we might miss the next Terraplanes jam with this recording, do keep me informed of when the GoFundMe page goes up.
Absolutely,
because
you know, we'd love your support.
We can put something on the podcast for sure and direct people towards it.
Okay. Love to.
So yeah.
Yeah, we've got some great songs coming up. So yeah, we're hoping to do that this year. But I
was going to say, that sounds like your major plan at the moment in the future,
but
the next album.
Yeah. But the mantra at the moment is ready when it's ready.
Right.
I can't. You know, these things take as long as they take, you know, and I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. I've got to get this done, Our last album was a fantastic album and it did really well, and we want to bring out something that is better than that. So it's ready when it's ready. That's all I can say. And
although, like I say, although we're going to miss the next jam, you're saying that the next jam is the 23rd of June because you've got a gig in Birmingham on the 30th.
Yeah.
And where's that gig and how can people get tickets?
Okay, that's at the Brass House on Broad Street in Birmingham, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on the Sunday afternoon.
Right.
30th of June. So yeah, that one's that's a free entry gig. That's a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, the Brass House is just a pub on the high street.
Right.
So we're playing
right in Birmingham city centre.
It is.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
right where all the trams go straight past. So you you can park the other side like parallel, but that is right where the trams still run through Birmingham High Street.
Okay, give us that pub again. Sorry.
The Brass House.
The Brass House.
Right. Brass House. Yeah. Okay. So check out the website for all the dates of the Terraplanes.
And again, give us the web address for the
The Terraplanes Bluesband.com.
Brilliant. And that's got all your tour dates. And
that's got all the tour
stuff.
dates, all the information you need, all the links to Spotify and YouTube, Bandcamp, and Amazon if you want to purchase our music or support the band in any way.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, Nick, thank you. Thank you. This has been really great. It's been a real pleasure to find out more about you.
Yeah.
A little bit about your history and a little bit how the Terraplanes Blues Jam was started and the band itself.
Yeah, cool.
So
I haven't rabbit it on too much.
I want you to. It's fine. That's the point. Right. Say goodbye.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.